Welcome back, everybody. It's your man, Abdul Rahman Muhammad. I'm a historian, a writer, investigative journalist. If you like what we have to say, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button and become a subscriber. That's very important, man. We need your support. And if you really like what you hear, go ahead and become a patron of this program and hit the Patreon link in the description box below. Well, it's the 4th of July. And you know what? I feel like talking about patriotism this evening. That's right. I feel like talking about patriotism. And you know how I'm going to do it? I'm going to do a riff on this book right here. Malcolm X, A Life of Reinvention by Manning Marable. You say, brother, how are you going to talk about patriotism and tie it into this book? I'm such a bad dude. I'm going to do that this evening. Now, many of you know, of course, that I was a great contributor to this book. It's been a very controversial book. That is true. That is true. It's not my book, but I did contribute to the book, and I am responsible for the revelation that it contains of the identity of the assassin of Brother Malcolm, the shotgun assassin, William Bradley, who is known today as Al-Mustafa Shabazz, who lives in Newark, New Jersey. It's a crime and a disgrace. It's an affront to justice, and it's an affront to the memory and legacy of El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, Malcolm X, and we've got to do something about that. But, you know, that's another video, and I will deal with that topic at another time. But right now, I want to talk about patriotism, and I want to use this book to do it. So how are you going to do that, brother? How are you going to talk about patriotism and tie it into Dr. Marable's book on Malcolm X, A Life of Reinvention? Here's what I have to say about that. If you study this book, to my knowledge, is the first book that tied the life of El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, that makes the connection between his life and the Muslim Brotherhood in this country and overseas. I never read any treatment of that history in those terms, you know, in terms of, you know, the way that he was handled from beginning to end by the Muslim Brotherhood, what I have called the Immigrant Muslim Syndicate, from the time he, you know, accepted and embraced Orthodox or the real Islam, and when he went on his Hajj and his journeys through Africa. From start to finish, he was handled, and he was taken around by officials in the Muslim Brotherhood. And the reason they did that, well, first of all, beginning in New York, when he accepted the religion and he was taught the rituals and the teachings of the religion at the Islamic Center in New York under the tutelage of its director, Mahmoud Shawarbi, who was from Egypt, and he was an Ikhwani. Now, he was a Brotherhood guy, okay? He is the one who made all the arrangements for Malcolm to meet different Brotherhood officials when he went on his Hajj, okay? This is why he was given such special treatment and taken around like a dignitary and what have you. They were trying to recruit Malcolm. All right. They were trying to bring Malcolm into the fold of the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay. They gave him some scholarships for Islamic students or Islamic, educational programs overseas. They were trying to loosen his attachment to his people. Under the guise of the universality of Islam, brother, you know, you should really kind of tone down that racial stuff and talk universal Islam, okay? Talk the real Islam. All right. And this is significant, and I'll tell you why. Because Malcolm was assassinated in 1965, February 21st, 1965. In October of 1965, President Lyndon Johnson signed into law the immigration bill, the Immigration and Nationality Bill, which opened the door to immigrants from all parts of the Muslim world. Okay? Before that, immigration was relegated to whites, Europeans from northern European countries. Okay? Even Southern Europeans, they didn't want Southern Europeans in the country, you know. People of color. This law, all right, opened the door for Asians, Africans, Arabs, you know, Muslims to flood into the country. Okay, so Malcolm is killed in February. This law is signed in October 1965. So all of these people that Malcolm was meeting overseas, they're now able to come to the States, right? They're now able to come to the States and implement their program to, in a sense, bring the United States government down. And make no mistake about it, all right? Make no mistake about it. It's the Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamic, what I call, not the Islamic, the Immigrant Muslim Syndicate wants to bring America down. I know this. I've spoken to them. I know these people. I was around them many years. Okay? This is what they want to do. All right? Now, Malcolm, they thought that Malcolm, they could use Malcolm to recruit us into their program. All right? They were going to exploit our legitimate grievance. When I say our, I'm talking about black Muslims. Okay? Black Muslims. They were going to exploit our grievances, our legitimate grievances with our government and with this nation. They were going to bring us in, and we were going to be the fifth column for their nefarious plot to take down the government. And if you, or take down this country, if you doubt what I'm saying, I'm going to put it in the description box below. About 6 or 7 years ago, I was in a documentary called the Stealth Jihad. And you will hear these Brotherhood people talk about death to America, how they in the public present one face, and behind closed doors, they talk death to America. I'm going to put it in the description box below. Go check it out, okay? So they were trying to use Malcolm because they saw him as being the successor to Elijah Muhammad. Now, how does this tie into patriotism and the 4th of July? Brother, how are you going to tie all that up? Well, sit back for a minute, okay? As we know, sadly and tragically, Brother Malcolm was cut down. He was cut down like a dog by this man, William Bradley. We have to deal with that, okay? That's a disgrace that that man is walking around, all right? But he's gone. Now they have to wait because Elijah Muhammad is still alive. But they see this black Muslim movement, right, as the plum that they're going to pick. All right? They're going to, you know, they're just going to wait for their opportunity to bring us into their orbit. So in 1975, when Imam W.D. Muhammad, Minister Wallace Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad, assumes the leadership of the Nation of Islam, this radical group this group that called for the fall of America, all right? This group that called all white people devils, okay? This group of angry black men and women dissatisfied with the, the brutal oppression of black people in America. They just could not wait to get their hands on us. So when Warith D Mohammed comes into the leadership and he says there's no more nation of Islam, the nation is now our nation, America. America is our nation. No longer nation of Islam. America is our nation. Okay? He did something that was so visionary, was so profound, so ahead of its time, all right, that even today I marvel at the vision of this man. Because Warith D Mohammed, and he wasn't a perfect man, and nobody is, okay? And I didn't agree with him on many things, okay? But I will tell you that I have grown to appreciate the vision and the understanding that this man had, because he knew in a way that maybe Malcolm didn't at first see. He knew that the Muslim Brotherhood, the Immigrant Muslim Syndicate, was waiting in the wings to take us over. All right, and here's how they do it. They skim off our leadership. That's what they do. They look for our leaders, all right, and they buy them off. They give them a little position. They make them an imam. That's what they did with Johari Abdul Malik. I have to tell the truth. I have to tell the truth, okay? They made him a big-time imam and brought Howard University, the MSA at Howard, into their orbit such that Howard became a satellite of the Darul Hijra Masjid, and it became a satellite, a wing of the Muslim Brotherhood, the Immigrant Muslim Syndicate. All right, I'll tell that story another time as well. So Warith D Mohammed brings his community into the uswa, or the example of Prophet Muhammad. And the Muslim Brotherhood says, yes, now we can get them. They're on the Sunnah now. Okay, they're Orthodox Muslims. So we'll easily just, pick them off one by one. And we'll bring the whole group in under our wing. And we'll exploit their grievances. And we'll exploit the wrongs that's been done to them. And we'll make them a fifth column in our plot to bring down America. Our stealth jihad. Okay? But it didn't work. You know why? Because Imam Warith D Mohammed knew what they were up to. And what did he do? He said, America is our nation. We're not a separate nation within a nation. America is our nation. And he did something, looking back on it now, as a middle-aged black man in America, that was revolutionary. He picked up the American flag and he waved it high in the sky. July of 1977, he declared New World Patriotism Day. New World Patriotism Day. See, I told you I'd bring it back to the 4th of July. He said, we are going to raise this flag because our ancestors died under this flag. Our ancestors built this country. This is our country. And we're not going to, let anyone estrange us from our home, because America is our home. We're not going back anywhere. This is our home. America is our home. And we have a lot to be proud of as black folks. Really, you all need to take a trip down to the Smithsonian and visit the new Museum of African American History and Culture. And you will see where we have come from slavery all the way up to the pinnacle of success in America. Yes, we still have a lot of problems, no doubt. But it's impossible to come out of that museum and not feel proud of the black race and what we have been able to accomplish despite the most brutal system of racial oppression anywhere in the world. So Warith D Mohammed, he said, this is our country. And he raised the flag high. And he put the flag on the newspaper. He had the flag on one side of the masthead and the Quran on the other. And I didn't understand it. When I was an undergraduate student at Howard University, I didn't understand it. You know, I was still under the spell of Malcolm X and his fiery oratory. But the problem sometimes, beloved, is you can't get past, you can't get past that period. It's kind of frozen in time. You know, time moved on after Malcolm. And we made much progress. And so the Imam picked up the flag. He said, we Americans. And we should buy into America because we are Americans. And he fused together all three identities in one organic whole. African American identity or black identity, American identity, and Muslim identity. All right. So what did this do? This made his community immune to the anti-American rhetoric of the Immigrant Muslim Syndicate. Okay? It made them immune to it. It made them, it just made them, what's the word I'm looking for? They just weren't going to have any of that. They weren't going to listen to any of that because America was their country, is our country. And if you look at the Imam's followers, if you look at that community, out of all the different black Muslim groups, they have judges, they have lawyers, they have